All right, welcome to Drive Time. Rob and Jenna with you, and we have been following the trials and tribulations of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all season long, and I think today we can declare that the 2015 season has been a success, but in all essence, it's pretty much over, and we are now in, hey, the future looks bright mode.
They're not mathematically out of the playoffs, but you really felt like with all the hype that was surrounding yesterday's game, and that stadium had been more filled up than I'd seen it all season long, the opportunity was there for the taking. And against the league's worst defense, statistically, both in the passing game and also, too, against the ground or against the run game, well, they really faltered. And it was really interesting yesterday, too, because in the stadium, there was a great mix of boos, lots of boos at times, and then also that thunderous applause. And it just seemed like the fans really didn't know how to take in the game because there were so many highs and lows. And it also kind of captured the season. The season's been that way, too.
Here's the bottom line, folks. They're just not a playoff team. They're just not good enough. The reason the Buccaneers were close to the playoffs and in the mix this year had more to do with the mediocrity of the National Football Conference, and particularly the collapse of the NFC East.
They did show some signs of promise. They did.
No, they're promising,
we gave a lot
but
of
they're not there.
Praise. We gave praise when it was warranted. They did some great things against an Eagles team that I'm still trying to figure out because that was also an Eagles team that, lo and behold, beat the Patriots of all teams. So they did have some really good moments. But then you go out and you lay an egg yesterday, and let me tell you what, that locker room knew it. Several players told me after the game, I really felt like I let the team down.
Yeah, they came up short. They lost their composure. They didn't play well. Jameis Winston had a rookie game. He missed on a lot of his passes. He missed some open looks, a lot of drop balls, a lot of bad penalties.
Losing Vincent Jackson to that knee injury really hurt him, but it also hurt Mike Evans too because lo and behold, he becomes invisible when Vincent Jackson leaves the field.
But that really goes back to a systematic failure. The coaching was not good yesterday. The front office has not addressed the wide receiver position all year long when it was lacking. So you didn't have another option when Vincent Jackson went off the field. Systematically, top to bottom, they weren't good enough this year. The good news is they might be good enough next year.
The foundation is set, and you can see that. And you can see not just in guys like Jameis Winston, but you can see guys like Donovan Smith, Ali Marpet. They're developing. I think it's going to be a much different looking offense next year when you have Louis Murphy healthy and when you've got Kenny Bell healthy. He's a guy that looked great in camp and I had really high hopes for this year. So just not having those guys around with injuries, and of course it doesn't help, like I said, not having Vincent Jackson there. It's that time of the year. A lot of teams have injuries. The best teams are the ones that can overcome it, the teams that have the depth. You did see a guy like Adam Humphries step up yesterday. That was big, but just overall, they just could not keep pace with such a high-powered offense. And then defensively, they just couldn't get off the field on third down. Those are things you want to look at looking into next year. How can they improve that? They definitely hit it out of the park with their middle linebacker, but, it's really clear that they need to bolster that pass rush. It's really clear that they have a lot of deficiencies in that secondary.
Yep, they've got to improve on both sides of the ball, but as we kind of told you during our radio show last week, and that's Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 on AM 1040, don't lament the fact that if the Buccaneers failed against the Saints, as they did, that they're not going to be a playoff team because this team is ahead of schedule. They've already hit 6 wins for the season. That's where I thought they'd ended up. There's a pretty good chance of being a 500 football team.
They still can finish their season on a strong note, although the odds are stacked against them going into St. Louis on a short week. That's going to be really difficult, especially with all the injuries they left the game. And we don't know who's going to be the middle linebacker. Bruce Carter, he wasn't putting any weight on that ankle after the game yesterday. And Akeem Spence, it looks like he's injured. Austin Seferian-Jenkins could have very well re-injured that shoulder. Probably not going to have Vincent Jackson. That's not good. That's not good news for this team. However, I still think that they can do enough. You get a home field advantage against Chicago. You still can do some things. And maybe, who knows, Carolina, they've already clinched a first-round bye. Who knows, maybe they do just rest their starters in the final week there. So, yeah, a 500 ball club, second year under Lovie Smith, first year quarterback, that's a step in the right direction.
If we said that at the beginning of the season, you'd have said, you'll take it.